As the largest and most family-friendly member of the Buick portfolio, the Buick Enclave first came to our showrooms back in 2008 as a replacement for 3 different models. Now for 2025, Buick is finally ready to show off an all-new version. I'm here at a studio just outside of Detroit, Michigan to finally take a look at this 2025 Enclave. You can see it has an all-new design, it has an all-new powertrain, and it has a massive 30-inch screen for the interior in terms of technology. So now that we're finally seeing the new Enclave in person, let's go ahead and take a first look. Now, if you guys are familiar with the GM portfolio, you'll know that this vehicle kind of shares a platform with other vehicles like the Chevrolet Traverse and GMC Acadia, which we saw all new versions of those vehicles introduced for 2024. So clearly, we've been waiting for a new version of the Enclave, and this model has always been the more premium, more luxurious offering within kind of like those 2 other models. And I have to say, finally seeing the new Enclave in person, this is now part of the 3rd generation. The 2nd generation has been around since 2018, so it was time for a redesign. As you can see, here we're actually showing you guys 2 different models. This is the flagship luxurious model known as the Avenir, and then over here behind me is the ST trim, which is now its own trim level. Buick used to offer the ST as kind of like a package within the 2 lower trims, but now it's its own trim level. We'll talk about that later on during the walk around, but let's go ahead and focus on this Avenir trim, because as you can see, it has the new corporate face of Buick. This is first introduced on the Wildcat concept that was introduced back in 2022, I believe. And you can see, I have to say, the Enclave wears the new face very nicely. You can see this kind of silvery gray exterior color goes very nicely with the new Buick corporate grille. The Avenir trim, of course, has its own unique styling elements here with the kind of insert with the grille. You have these kind of like diamonds pattern in the insert. It's kind of got like glossy black with a chrome finish. You have the new Tri-Shield insignia here, which is their new logo that they introduced very recently. And then you can see here, this also has the latest design philosophy of Buick with their kind of checkmark style full LED headlights with the separate LED daytime running light. With also a separate LED turn signal. This kind of design element here is very trendy. A lot of brands are doing the kind of split divorced headlight and daytime running light theme. And I have to say, I really like it on the Envista and other Buick products, and I think it does work fairly well here. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. You can see the Avenir also gives you a lot more chrome, a lot of these nicely integrated parking sensors, a forward-facing camera, and overall, it definitely exudes a more premium, sportier, more luxurious look versus what you're seeing from like the Chevrolet Traverse and the GMC Acadia. Now, underneath the hood, Buick asked me not to open up the hood today to show you guys because this is a very early pre-production model. The 3.6-liter V6 has been replaced. That was a naturally aspirated engine. It now has been replaced by a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. Now that's about 18 more horsepower and about 60 more pound-feet of torque versus the old V6. It now goes out through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Technically, it's down 1 gear versus the old engine transmission, but Buick is claiming, again, more performance and, of course, better fuel efficiency. This vehicle, standard towing will be about 1,500 pounds. With the tow package, you can increase that to about 5,000 pounds. We'll have more of the curb weight information and performance figures as we get closer to the on-sale date. But let's go ahead and walk around the side profile of the new Enclave. You can see this vehicle, Buick says, is going to be longer, it's going to be wider, it's going to be lower versus the previous generation. And you can kind of see that in the profile. It's a little bit more boxy. The old one had kind of more of a minivan silhouette, so I'm liking the more conventional SUV shape that this car is showing. They don't have actual dimensions for us. However, if you look at something like the Traverse, the new one, that vehicle had like around a 121-inch long wheelbase with a 204-inch overall length. I'm going to suspect the Enclave is probably going to be closer to the Traverse in terms of the dimensions because, again, this is kind of designed to be the more luxurious and biggest option within, those 2 other family members of this platform. You can see the wheels. This Avenir trim has the biggest wheel that we've seen on the Enclave so far. It's a 22-inch like satin luster nickel designed wheel with multiple spokes. It's a really nice looking design. The base wheel is actually going to be a 20-inch wheel now. So Buick has increased the size of the wheels from the previous generation by about 2 inches. You can see it's got a Continental all-season tire. It's riding on a 275 by 45 width R22. So a nice size wheel. This Avenir also has a fully independent suspension with their adaptive dampers. The other trims have a passive damper system, but again, Buick says that their quiet tuning technology has been kind of baked into all versions of the Enclave. Now you can see with the Avenir trim, you do get more chrome. So if you guys don't like the chrome look, I'll show you the ST in just a moment, but you can see you've got chrome along the window trim, along the door handles, along the roof rails over here, which this model also comes standard with a panoramic sunroof. It is available as an option if you guys are looking at the lower trims of the vehicle. And then follow me over to the rear, you can see the rear look of the Enclave. I know it's a little bit tight back here, but you can see it's got the latest design elements with some new twists here. You can see it's got the full LED light blade that kind of goes across the rear of the vehicle. And I think it also has a really nice look to it. I like the fact that, you know, Buick kind of went a little more cleaner with the design, with the badging. You can see it's got some, kind of a new font here for the Buick badge with the Tri-Shield logo back here. And then down here you can see you still have the dual chrome exhaust tips, which have kind of like a trapezoidal shape to it. It really just kind of gives it a premium and sportier vibe, which I really appreciate. Now, a couple of new features that Buick did add. It does have a kind of hands-free power liftgate function, and I actually do have the key fob here, so let's go ahead and see if we can open that up. You can see in terms of the cargo space, I don't have the final figures just yet, but this model does come standard with a power folding third row seat, which is nice. Now, in terms of the cargo figures, because we don't have the final numbers yet, we can kind of guesstimate. Now, the old Enclave had one of the biggest cargo areas in this segment at around 22 or 23 cubic feet with the third row seat up. That expanded to around 57 with the seats down, up to 97 with all the seats folded. That's pretty much in line with something like the new Lexus TX and Toyota Grand Highlander. You can see in terms of space back here, it is plentiful. You have a really deep storage area here underneath the floor, which is nice. With the seats power folding, it's going to expand it out. You can seat up to 8 people, I believe, in this vehicle. This model here seats up to 7, but you can fit 3 people across. So again, it's going to make it one of the more family-friendly options in the segment, especially if you require enough space to carry, you know, a lot of people and all their stuff. But if you want to follow me over here to the ST trim, I want to show you guys really quickly some of the different styling elements. Now, I also forgot to mention the Avenir trim also has kind of like a welcome animation lighting. So if you hit the unlock or lock button, the headlights and lights will kind of do a little welcome animation, which I think is pretty cool. The ST, as you can see, doesn't have that feature, but you do get some nice blackout elements. So if you guys aren't a fan of the chrome, you can see the front grille has a different finish to it, a different insert as well with the ST badging, which ST stands for Sport Touring. Again, it's not like a performance model, but it's just more of an appearance package. I love the kind of black outlook that you have with the chrome elements here, with the lower front of the splitter. Along here on the side of the rest of the wheels, you can see the wheel arch trim. Instead of being body colored on the ST, it's actually gloss black painted. You have a different finish to the 20-inch wheel. Of course, this is 2 inches smaller, but it's kind of got like a two-tone look with the gloss black and the machine look. I think it looks really nice on this particular model. And you'll have a slightly narrower tire on this one. It's a 255 by 55 R20. You can see there's an ST badge here, gloss black on the mirrors and along the window trim, along with gloss black here on the roof rails. And this model here also has the panoramic sunroof. That is, again, an optional extra if you guys are looking at this particular trim. And then over here at the rear, you can see the taillights have a slightly different finish. You still get that full LED light bar going across, but as opposed to the chrome finish that you have on the Avenir, you can see Buick kind of went with a blacked out, darkened red appearance here for the actual taillight design. So let's move on to the interior of this fully redesigned Enclave. And I have to say, this really makes a great first impression with the interior. Buick is on a mission to kind of completely re-engineer their entire product portfolio. And this car, again, is kind of at the forefront because it's their flagship model in terms of technology, in terms of size. But before we go into the screens, let's go ahead and talk about the door panel materials. Well, first of all, this Avenir trim that I'm showing you has a new color combination. It's called slate blue on the upper portion of the dash. It has this sky cool gray leather interior, which also looks very nice. In terms of the door panel materials here, I really love the soft touch injection molded plastic with the stitching at the top. You also have this beautiful ambient lighting, which Buick says is interchangeable. It's customizable with like up to 120 different colors you can change it to. You can see there's some wood trim, there's some alloy trim. I'm not entirely sure if it's genuine or not, but it definitely looks and feels really nice. This model also has an upgraded 16 speaker Performance Series Bose stereo system for you audiophiles out there. This model here has about 4 more speakers versus the preferred trim or the ST trim. You can see more perforated leather here. It's nice and padded. There's some nice little gold accents here along the door panel as well. Down here it is a hard touch plastic material, but you can see there's some nice storage. And overall, this looks very nice. It complements, of course, the sky cool gray seats and the rest of the interior very nicely as well. Now getting inside, you can see the step-in height is nice. This vehicle, I want to say, has just under 7 inches of ground clearance. That's what the ground clearance is of the Traverse and the Acadia. As I cut it and shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. This is built off of a new architecture, of course. And I have to say, in the past, I've kind of criticized Buicks for kind of feeling a little bit too much like guzzied up Chevys. And this new modern interior finally feels like a more upscale interpretation of that. In fact, this looks like it could belong in like a Cadillac or maybe even a Mazda. Actually, it kind of reminds me a lot of what Mazda should be doing in terms of their screen sizes, because every Enclave will come standard with this massive 30-inch single piece of glass. So you can see it's one continuous piece here where you have I guess like a 15-inch display here. It's kind of one display here and then another display here, but there's no kind of black unused area here. It's all one continuous look. We'll have to show you guys some B-roll footage of that because Buick has asked me not to turn on the screens here to show you guys what the interface is like because this is a very early pre-production model. But as you can see here, the steering wheel is also all new. It's got a power tilt and telescoping adjustment, which is nice. You have paddles on the wheel. I love the slate blue look to it. I also love the way that you have bright trim here. You have some actual buttons for the adaptive cruise control, which by the way, unlike previous Buicks before, their full suite of driver assistance tech is going to be standard, including adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, auto emergency braking. The adaptive cruise used to be an option even on the top end Buicks. Now the only option really is going to be Super Cruise, which is their latest version of their hands-free driving. You can see there's the Super Cruise status bar. It's got the camera there that watches your face. Super Cruise now can basically drive hands-free on over 750,000 miles of roadways here in North America and in Canada as well. So it's been sufficiently upgraded, and it's again available on every trim of the Enclave, which is nice. There's also a heads-up display that's included on this trim, included on most of the top trims. And then you can see here in terms of the dash materials, on the upper portion here you have a soft touch injection molded plastic with this faux stitching. I love this kind of alloy trim here that looks and feels real, which is nice, kind of going along with the kind of perforations you see here. This is nice and padded. There's real leather stitching on this lower portion. Love the way the vents look. There's also actual hard buttons here to control the dual zone or tri-zone climate control. You can see the center console here has a new floating design. Buick says that they did it like this to kind of give you more storage. So you can see there's a massive wireless phone charging pad here. You have your control or your volume control over here, along with an actual button to turn the system on and off. These, it's actually black here, but I'm assuming it'll light back up to show you all your different controls. The piano black here is not my favorite, but you can see there's nicely sized cup holders. You have a nice big open storage bin down here, which is great for kind of putting like a purse or any loose kind of items. You can see there's two USB charging ports, a C and an A, which is nice. It's going to again give you the additional charging that you're going to need. And then over here on the center console, you can see it's nice and padded. Open this up. It's actually a pretty deep center console storage area. So I love how deep it goes. There's also a nice little LED ambient light. There's no power outlets in here, which would have been nice to find, but I mean overall with the wireless charger, the additional charging ports there, you shouldn't really have any place, lack places to find charging. Now in terms of the rearview mirror, if you guys go for the Avenir trim, it also will include a digital camera rearview mirror, which is nice. The gear selector, if you guys notice, has also been moved from over here to the actual column here. So this frees up the space again here where Buick was able to add some more additional storage, which is nice. And then looking at the glove compartment here, you can see the glove box is huge. It's a bin style, it's stamped, but not lined with felt. Again, it provides even more additional storage. The ambient lighting, I'm looking forward to seeing this at night because you can see there's kind of like a green hue to that, which also kind of goes into the door panel. That was another area of criticism that I mentioned to Buick in my earlier videos where it just felt, again, too much like a Chevy. So again, they're really upping the level of premiumness here, the level of customization, which is nice. The seats also, these are the Sky Cool Gray seats. They're heated and ventilated, and they offer a massage. And I believe the seats adjust in 14 different ways. So if you guys want heated and ventilated seats with a massage, you have to go for the Avenir trim. The lower trims of the Enclave will come standard with heated seats with power adjustments. But again, the cool function only comes on this trim. Above me here, you can see massive panoramic sunroof that does go into the back seat area as well, which we'll hop into the back seat later on and show you guys that. This also opens up to vent air. There's a power retractable shade. There's kind of like a nice woven material on the headliner here with sunglass holders there, which is nice. Map lights, lots of buttons here to for their OnStar system to open and close the shades. But overall, I have to say Buick has really knocked it out of the park here. My previous videos of Buicks before really criticized the interiors for feeling too much like Chevys, and now I think they've kind of done this perfect like middle ground between being nicer than a Chevy but being almost as nice as the latest Cadillac products. Now moving to the second and the third row of the new Enclave, this is obviously going to be used as a family car as Buick's largest vehicle, and this is where a lot of people are also going to find a lot to like about this Enclave, because as you guys know, this space is getting very, very competitive. I mean, we have new versions of like the Toyota Grand Highlander, we have the Telluride and Palisade, the new Pilot, and of course in the luxury space there's the Lexus TX, the MDX, and the Infiniti QX60. And I have to say, this new Enclave definitely is going to be able to play with all of those big players. First of all, this Avenir trim includes these captain's chairs. I think on the lower trims you can get it with a bench seat, but these captain's chairs are what most people tend to want. You can see as I get back here and show you guys the space. Now I don't have the final legroom figures just yet, but you can, as you can see, slide this seat forward and back, which is nice as I get in and shut the door. The door has a similar solid sounding thunk, and the old Enclave had around 38.5 inches of legroom in the second row, which wasn't class leading. Buick doesn't have final legroom figures yet for this new version, but I was looking around at legroom figures for the Traverse and the Acadia. Those have around 41.5 inches of legroom now. So I'm gonna assume this has the same, and you can see there's plenty of space. This is not where I'd have the seat to drive, but there's plenty of foot space. The floor is completely flat back here. It has some nice, plusher carpeting material here, which is great. You have your own set of climate controls. You have three level heated seats back here with actual knobs to control the climate. You have cup holders here. There's also two USB-C charging ports here, an actual 12-volt power over here, which is, again, great for kids. In terms of the materials back here, you can see you have the same soft touch injection molded plastic with the faux stitching, more metal speakers for the Bose stereo system. There's also ambient lighting back here, which also is going to change based on whatever color you have it set to. Nice and padded over here with more of that gold trim, which is nice. These seats also do give you the ability to recline, which is great. There's a big pass-through here if you need to get into the third row, and then you can see above me here, the panoramic sunroof really lets in a lot of light. It goes basically over the second row passengers' heads, and then you have your air vents located here in the ceiling, along with some LED map lighting, which is, again, all a very nice touch. But let me go ahead and hop into the third row of this vehicle, which, if you want to push a button down here, this allows the seat to slide forward. And as you noticed here, if you guys have a child seat in this actual seat, you can still slide the seat forward because the seat folds out of the way in a manner that allows you to keep this child seat anchored in place. Now, getting into the third row here, I'm gonna go ahead and push the button here so Martin can show you guys what that's like. And I'll put this seat back. Now, I don't have final legroom figures just yet. But as you can see, with the vehicle being nearly 80 inches wide, you do have space to fit 3 people across. And by the legroom figures, the old model had around 33.5 inches of legroom. Now, we don't have figures of the new one, but the new Traverse and Acadia said that in their spec sheets, it was showing around 32.5 inches of legroom. So it actually went down by an inch, but as you can see, this is with the seat basically all the way back at 5'7". I'm not the tallest, but I can sit back here, and my knees, they aren't technically touching the back of this. So this feels very comparable to something like the Grand Highlander, the Lexus TX. This definitely has more space than like an Acura MDX, for example. You can see headroom space is also plentiful. The panoramic sunroof doesn't come back here, but there's kind of like a sculpted area here that gives you more headroom space. Your rear seat air vents are also here, which is nice. These little vents in the third row is something you don't get in like the Acura MDX, which is very confusing to me considering it's a luxury brand. There's also nice two USB-C power outlets back here along with cup holders. It's all hard touch plastic materials back here, which I kind of expected. There's a nice little window that allows you to kind of see out of. But overall, if you're looking for, again, a family crossover, a unibody crossover that's big enough to actually carry adults in the third row, this vehicle here, along with its Platform 8 vehicles, can definitely do so for average size adults. So last year in America, Buick managed to sell around 33,000 Enclaves here in the States, which represents a pretty good chunk. In fact, at their peak, the company did around 60,000 units for the Enclave every year, which again makes this a very important model for Buick because the company has essentially become an all SUV portfolio. This is the biggest and most expensive and most family-friendly model, so I expect it to do well when it does go on sale sometime late this summer. And if you guys are looking to get your hands on this vehicle, I don't have final pricing just yet. The current generation Enclave starts at around $46,000, goes to around $60,000. I'm going to suspect this new one's going to be around that range, but it's probably likely going to be more expensive, especially if you guys are looking at something like this fully loaded Avenir version. I'm expecting this model here to be at least $60,000 to $65,000. That's before features like the Super Cruise option. But overall, if you guys are looking at this vehicle with the level of technology, the level of luxury, the level of style, and the level of space that you get, this is certainly going to be a nice addition to the very competitive and cutthroat three-row unibody crossover segment. And I'm really looking forward to eventually getting my hands on this vehicle and driving a lot of its sister vehicles when they do go on sale sometime later this summer. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Buick Enclave. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.